Hello everyone, my name is Corey Brook. In today's video, we're gonna be going over some of the blueprints that I used to create the shrink function that you saw in the previous video. And we're just gonna go over some of the actual things that were involved in that process. First off, we have the press T to shrink. It's just a widget that I created. No special blueprints here. And in PC in-game, which was something that was already in the creator in the Stacklebot, I just created a third sequence that comes down here and will turn on the widget visibility, set the variable, add it to the viewport, and then set the visibility to hidden. And when this show shrink event pops up, then it's going to set the visibility to visible. So for the BP bot, the actual shrink functionality in itself. So I just created a input action, I shrink, added it to the third person controls, and whenever I push this button, when it started, it's going to do this shrink ability. So what the shrink ability is doing, it is looking for, is the pickup active? So we'll switch to our pickup really quick. This is the pickup. It's going to, it says on component begin overlap, is the player, BP bot, plays a sound, and it does this enable shrink function and destroys the actor. Now this enable shrink function's up here, right? So after an item is picked up, set the visibility to shrink on. So enable shrink will set this pickup to active, which is the same variable that we got down here. And it's also going to go to player controller, the PC in game that we just had, and the show shrink is going to set that press T to shrink text to visible. And if you come down here, so now that the pickup is active, we can go through all these branches. It's going to check, is the player big? Or basically not small or big, normal size. If that is true, then it's going to just play this timeline, which is taking the character from normal size down to 0.3 in 2 seconds. So that's the shrink bot ability, and then it's going to shrink the relative scale and set some variables. And if it's false, it's just going to do the reverse of that. It's going to grow the character. The same exact process, just reverse of the timeline. I think that's all I changed on BP bot. I also created a fuse, so simple fuse right here in the viewport. So in the event graph, on actor begin overlap, it's going to just set the player character. It's going to update orbs. It's going to change it to 1. So one thing real quick about that. This is the widget that I created for the fuses, right? I basically took the same thing that the orb counter had and just pulled it down. So now I named it fuses because a lot of this blueprints was still functional. All I wanted was to have something that will count up fuses as I pick them up. The only difference that I made, which I'll show you in a second, is that I had to subtract for each time a fuse is used, which wasn't in this coding. So this coding was functional. It's still going to add 1 each time, and I disabled it for the orbs that was originally on the game. So what it's going to do is I'm going to go event actor begin overlap. It's going to update the orbs, which is that same blueprint I just showed you. It's going to update it by 1 for the game instance. And it's going to remove collectible from there. It's going to enable collision, sound, and destroy actor. Right, so that's just for the fuse itself. It's just basically going to add 1. And then for the door fuse, I had to change some. This is just a normal blueprint for the door. But on interact, I had to change this branch. Normally this orange section isn't here, but I have to actually get the orb amount from the game instance, and it's going to check if it's greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, that's true, then you're going to update the orbs from the game instance. It's going to -1. So basically you're going to subtract 1 if you try to use the door if it's greater than 1. So it's just going to subtract 1. And it's going to set off the triggers to open the door. I detached the closed door, so once it's open, it can't be closed again. And I think that's pretty much all I got for all my features. Thank you. Have a nice day.